Hi there and welcome to my video today. Today I'm going to make some jelly prints and I'm going to use some acrylic markers that were sent to me to try out, so I'm really excited. I have gotten some supplies together here, some of my favorite colors, and I'm going to be using two jelly plates. One is 8 by 10 and the other is 5 by 7. So I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit of the markers that I'll be using because they're a little different than what I normally use. These were sent to me to try out, and I'm really excited because I usually use Posca paint pens, and these are the Arrtx acrylic marker, basically their version of it. What's interesting is it has a brush tip. With the Poscas, they have like different bullet tips, but I'm really excited to try the brush tip, especially on the jelly plate. So they have so many different colors, all my favorites, pinks and blues, and they're really easy to use. All you do is shake it to start, and then you press the button, and then the paint comes out. It's really easy. Let me show you one that hasn't been used. So you just give it a good shake, and when you press the button, you can actually see the paint coming out. So it gradually comes down and it fills the tip. Really easy to use. You only have to do that once. So I'm going to show you how I use these paint pens on my jelly plate to make the collage papers. But before that, I also have these acrylic markers that are in metallics, which are beautiful. These you don't have to pump. They just come already populated with the paint. But they have a really pretty shimmer to them. So I'm going to give them a try as well. So if you like the topic of this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you back for more videos. All right, let's get started. So I'm just gathering a few of my materials that I want to use. I do love using stencils on my gel plates because it really gives it some nice patterns. And then I'm just trying to figure out what markers I'm going to use, what colors. I'm really excited to see how these work on the gel plate. And I'm just getting out my usual pinks and greens. And then I wanted to try out some of these metallics as well, because that would add like a little fun flair. I really like that these are water-based. It's basically the same as Posca's, but just with that brush tip, and I just want to see how the actual colors come out. Because they're definitely different than the Poscas I've seen. So I'm just starting with some pink, and it really comes out nicely. There's a lot of pigment there. And I'm using a paintbrush just to kind of move it around, just to see how it responds. I love using this other gel plate with the bigger plate because it kind of gives me a place to work out the color before putting it on the bigger plate. So just using some stamps here. I love stamping on the gel plates. Creates kind of different illusions and different layers, so it's fun to experiment with. And then here's the next color, a little yellow. And one of the things I also like to do is use a brayer because it kind of mutes the colors a little. It doesn't give that sharp line that sometimes comes up when you use paint pens. So just making the lines a little less obvious with the brush and the brayer. I think anytime you're using a paint pen on a gel plate, the most important thing to remember is just to have fun with it and create a lot of different shapes because with each layer of paint that you put down, it will create different illusions, and it's fun to see how that turns out. So this is just light pink, and I wanted to just have like a real thin layer. I find using thin layers on the gel plates works better for me because then I can use it in different layers on top of each other without it taking over the whole piece. So while that's drying, I'm just going to kind of play with this other plate, which usually ends up giving me some interesting prints, even though they're not as intentional as the main one. So just having fun, putting down some dots and different shapes. And I'm using the silver metallic for this one. That's just a simple triangle stamp. And then I have started putting my gel prints in a bound book, which is a fun way to keep them all together. So here's the first pull. And it's interesting to see how the actual pens show up. You can see some brush strokes, but they're also a little muted as well. For the next one, I'm going to start with black. I really love this as a foundation. I know some people might cringe, but I love the starkness of using black and then adding colors to it. It gives it a little grungy look. So here's some stencils, just kind of getting basic print down first and removing some paint from the background. And now I'm just going to go in with the pens and have a little fun, make some shapes and colors. And this is the metallic gray, some silver. And this is kind of like a bronze gold color. I think one of the most important things to remember when I'm making my jelly prints is how am I going to use this print? I don't want to make a print just for the sake of it. It can be fun, but you also want to think about how you're going to use it in the future. And I always try to remember that. Like, are these the colors that I like? Are these prints that I'm actually going to use as collage? So I try to keep that in mind as I'm creating them. So here is the pull for the smaller plate, and you can see a little of the iridescent silver. I love the colors on that one. So this is a little light olive green, just putting a thin layer down to create just a variation in color. And this is, of course, my favorite hot pink. I think it's fuchsia. And then obviously you want to give these layers a moment to dry so they don't become mud. It doesn't always translate while I'm making these videos, but I do allow them to dry a lot. And this is just a light teal, one of my favorites. We're going to let that one sit for a second. And I think this is the fun thing to use two plates at a time. You can kind of work on one while the other dries. So again, just kind of adding some accents with the pens and having fun with different shapes and not really thinking too much about it. And I wanted to remove some of that pink because it was getting really thick. So just moving it around a little and then putting it in the book. This one had a minute or two to dry, so let's see how it came out. I really love the rainbow effect in this one. And you can see a little of the shimmer with the gray, the silver, I should say, and some of the gold. It's just really subtle and beautiful. I really love the colors. And then here is the second pull, second print. This is definitely a cool grungy look I like. But the best thing about these markers is that you can go over them again and just kind of create a little bit more of the effect that maybe didn't translate in the print or just kind of what I want to see more of. I'll definitely use this collage paper. I love the colors and just the whole effect of it. So the brush tip is really fun to use. So I have to say it was so much fun using these markers today with my jelly prints. They have some beautiful colors. I know they have different sets. This is the metallic set. This is the set with all the basic colors. The way that the paint comes out, it is so saturated and opaque. They're so reasonably priced as well. I know that Poscas are a little more expensive. They can be like $3 to $4 a pen. And I'm going to put links in the description for these markers. And you can see that they are definitely more reasonable. And for a short period of time, there will be a 15% off coupon. So if you're at all interested in new acrylic markers, these are really a great way to get started. So thanks so much for watching today. And I'm going to put 2 more jelly print videos right here for you so you can see some other tricks that I use. I hope you have a great day and thanks for joining me. See you again soon.